The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of ECTV or any entities they represent.
This week on Voice of the People, Community Access, our guest is Lee Morgan.
Lee Morgan here, one more time. Video number 4, just trying to spark some interest in the city on what's actually taking place in this city. Trying to give you a view of some of the things that I see over my lifetime in this city. I'm only 63 years old. I remember listening to people much older than me talk about how vibrant this city was at one time and how shows came here before they went to New York City. How these streets were bustling and how during Christmas time, the Scranton Dry and the Globe store would just have, you know, the most beautiful windows. They were just decorated in a very festive way. The city was just bustling with people. It was hard to walk around this downtown. The population base at that time was probably 140,000 people. So it was a city that was on the move. And right now, if you look at this city, this is about 5:30 in the afternoon. There's not a soul on the street almost. There's a couple Lackawanna Transit buses running. You know, there's a couple people driving back and forth. But, you know, take a good look at this city. The bank on my left is vacant, okay? The bank behind it, I believe that's vacant. I think the Lewis and Riley building is vacant. I think the bank on this side near the corner is vacant. The bank on that corner is vacant. You walk through this downtown and lift your eyes up off the street and see that the upper floors of these buildings are empty, okay? And you walk Lackawanna Avenue, you walk this whole downtown, not just here, but this whole downtown. And it seems that 70% of it, in my opinion, is vacant. So I think that we need to ask, is pumping all of this money into the downtown bringing any real change? We can listen to what Mayor Cognetti says. We could listen to what Mayor Doherty had said. We can look at these parking garages they built that the city had to shed, okay? I mean, the people that are running them are making money, but the residents got stuck with the debt. And don't forget that Mayor Courtwright gave one garage away, and when he gave it away, the person he gave it to, he gave $1 million to. So is that good government? And look at the Lackawanna County Government Center across the street. Now, the county commissioners said that when they finished that project, that would make this block just a mecca of business. Just that the people would flock here, and we don't see it. But the one thing we do see is they voted to do a reassessment, and they're going to reassess everybody's properties. Now, like I said at a council meeting recently, I have a property outside the city. It was reassessed. Its value went up 44%, but its value really hasn't changed. What's changed is that the government is broke. They need more money. They want to reset the tax caps so they can start raising taxes. And I want you not to be fooled by what's taking place right before your very eyes. Now, the question is, do you believe your lying eyes or don't you? Because you've got to do something. Not the guy next door, not your neighbor, not somebody else, but you. You've got to determine if you're going to do something, like I said in the last video, and hand this city over to the young children when they mature. A city that's vibrant, that's alive, that has opportunity and jobs and employment. They built a small business incubator down on Lackawanna Avenue here, a little bit closer to the unemployment office, on the right side of the street. It's not a business incubator. I don't know what they want to call it. I call it nothing. I just call it a waste of public funds, okay? And you take a look at some of the other projects they've funded with community development and grant money. They offer you no benefit. And look at the sorry state of the Scranton Public School District. We've got to start putting money where it needs to be, and the most important thing is creating a group of citizens in the Home Rule Charter that can steer money into the neighborhoods. Imagine for the last 50 years the money that they put in this downtown. You know something? If you're going to put all your investments into the trunk of the tree, it's not going to make any difference. You sink your investments into the roots, and the roots are the neighborhoods. They're not the downtown. The downtown was built to be a center of corporate, I don't even have the word for it. It was just meant to be a mecca for business, to conduct business. All these buildings had offices in them when I was a child. Even though the city was in decline at that time, a lot of people had small little offices in these buildings. They were conducting business. I can't tell you the names of the business because some of them were very small. Nobody is conducting business here, and they haven't been for a long time. But you've been made to believe that they're going to save you by pumping millions and millions and millions of dollars into the downtown. And I'd like to also highlight City Hall. I've been going to them council meetings there for over 3 decades. They've spent so much money in that City Hall, it's ridiculous. They could have bought the courthouse annex for $1.6 million, and they could have rented out the lower floors for shops or for apartments and used the upper floors, and they could have conducted all the city's business right from there, because to be honest with you, City Hall is antiquated. Yes, it is a part of our history, and maybe we should turn that into a Civil War museum, considering that a lot of the things in the basement of that building, if they're still there, came from the GAR building when they sold it, and they put it all in storage. And as far as the downtown city central fire station, that needs to be moved. It really does. It needs to be in a place more conducive to fighting fire around the whole city. I put it down somewhere by the new Scranton High School, considering that it can make its way to the Scranton Expressway and probably traverse the whole city quite rapidly. But you know something? We've got to determine how money is going to be spent, who it's going to serve, and who it's going to benefit. And the one thing that it's got to do is it's got to benefit future residents. And in order to support them, you have to create jobs, okay? And another thing that I think the city needs, I think the city needs a veterinary school of medicine, okay? Because I think that field will offer an awful lot of opportunity to the young people in the city who might be able to attend a school like that. And, you know, there's one in Cornell. It's doing quite well. We're quite a ways from it, but we do have the medical school here. So why don't we develop something like that? Why aren't we plugging grants into things that are going to give us benefits? My personal opinion is, after all these decades at council, is that we're spreading graft when we spend these grants. Who are they going to, and what did we get? I think, like when I asked the council at the last meeting to tell the residents of the city where the grant money went for the last 50 years, OECD money, every bit of grant money that came into this city from whatever source it came from, the state, the federal government, the county, because no matter who the conduit is, it came to the city. And what did we get for that grant money? You know, when somebody says to you, I spent $2 million here, did you really spend $2 million there? Let's look at what we got for $2 million. Let's see what the end product was. Or were we just spreading money around to political supporters? And that's the question we have to ask ourselves today. We have to ask ourselves, what are we going to do for the children in this city that are going to inherit this city at some point? And what are we going to do in regards to the schools in the Scranton School District? We're closing them. We're moving kids out of their neighborhoods. We aren't investing in the children. The mayor quit the Scranton School Board. 3 of the council members were on the Scranton School Board, and another one was an administrator. And we have to ask ourselves, if you couldn't run the school district, how are you going to spend $68 million in City Hall and empower people? Because that's what government should do. It should empower people. It should serve people. But what's happened in our country, sorry to say, is both political parties are broke. And whether you support what I say or not, Donald Trump was trying to rebuild the Republican Party to be independent. Look at the young blood that's coming into the Republican Party, and they're representing working people. Look at the people in Texas that were just elected. First-generation Americans from Mexico who wonder why our border is open and that we need to close it. And people need to come into our country the way our forefathers came here. But the real point, in my video for today is, where is all that grant money gone to, and did we get good value for that money? What are the things we spent that money on really worth, and where is that grant money? Go up the street next to Buona Pizza. I think it was $50 million they spent on 5 buildings. It's ridiculous. They'll never generate that kind of tax revenue. Never. You've got to wake up. You've got to stand up, get out of your chair, and decide to do something. Because you know something? You have to hand this city to the next generation, and it has to be worth something. And the Deadwood in City Hall, or in the county commissioner's office, even the president of the United States, if we've got to get rid of those people, that's what we got to do. But America's got to have a future, and you've got to make it happen, not me. And I'm not trying to impress you today, and you may not appreciate what I say, but I'm just saying it's time to wake up and get involved. 570-604-1212. Please get involved in the rewrite of the Scranton Charter and the County Charter. Thank you for your time.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of ECTV or any entities they represent.